I have had this for a bit now, and a few people asked me about it, so here is my take after using it in my own space. I am not going to talk about it like a brochure. I am just going to tell you what it has been like living with it day to day, what I like, what I do not, and who I think it actually makes sense for. This kind of portable air conditioner is for someone who either cannot install a window unit, does not want to deal with a permanent system, or needs cooling in a specific room that gets hotter than the rest of the home. In my case, it has been a mix of all three. I used it in a bedroom at night, then rolled it into a home office during the afternoon. If you are in a rental, if you have one room that always runs warm, or if you want something you can put away when the season is over, this is the category of product you are looking at. What makes this one different in real life is the dual hose setup. A lot of portable units use a single hose, and the problem with those is they tend to pull some of the cooled air out of the room while they run. With two hoses, this one behaves more like it is breathing from outside and pushing air back outside, instead of stealing as much from the room you are trying to cool. In my use, that translated to steadier cooling, and it did not feel like the unit was constantly fighting itself. Physically, it is a big box on wheels. There is no way around that. It looks clean and simple, mostly a light color with darker trim, and it does not scream for attention, but it is still a noticeable appliance in the room. The plastic feels solid enough, and nothing on mine creaks or flexes in a way that makes me worry about it falling apart. The wheels are helpful, but once you route the hoses and fit the window panel, you do not move it quite as casually as you think you will. You can roll it, but you are still managing hoses, and you are still dealing with where the warm air exhaust is going. Setup was not hard, but it took me a little time to make it look neat. Out of the box, you are basically connecting the two hoses to the back of the unit, and then connecting the other ends to the window panel. The window kit works, but like most window kits, it is not perfect. I had to adjust it a couple of times to get a tighter fit, and I ended up adding a little extra sealing around the edges because I do not like feeling warm air sneaking back in. Once it is installed, day-to-day use is simple. I set the temperature, pick the fan speed, and let it run. On the controls, the buttons and display are straightforward. I use the remote sometimes, mostly at night. The remote is not fancy, but it works. I will say the beeps can be a little annoying if you are trying to change settings quietly, especially late at night. That is one of those small things you notice more after living with it for a while. Now, what it was like in actual use. I tested it in a room that is roughly 500 square feet, and that is a tough ask for any portable unit. In the afternoon, when that room started around the mid-80s Fahrenheit, it took about an hour to get it down into the low 70s Fahrenheit. That is with the door closed and with decent window sealing. The air coming out of the front feels legitimately cold, and once the room comes down, it can hold that temperature without running at full blast constantly. If you have a smaller room, it gets comfortable faster. If you have a larger space or an open layout where air moves into hallways and other rooms, you will feel it working hard, and you might not get the same result. Noise is always part of the portable air conditioner reality. This one is not silent. On the lower fan setting, I can sleep with it, but I still notice it. It is more of a steady rush of air and compressor sound than a high-pitched whine, which I personally find easier to tolerate. On higher fan speeds, it is loud enough that I would not want to record audio in the same room unless I paused the unit. If you are very sensitive to noise, you should assume you will hear it. I also use the dehumidifying mode on a humid day, and that was one of the more useful parts of owning it. Even when I did not need the room much colder, pulling moisture out made the room feel less sticky, and that made it easier to be comfortable at a slightly higher temperature setting. One practical note here is drainage. Depending on your humidity, you may need to drain it. In my case, in normal cooling mode, I did not have to babysit it constantly, but during heavy humidity periods, I did check it and I did have to deal with water. It is not hard, but it is part of ownership that people do not always talk about. Airflow is decent. It is not the same as a dedicated tower fan, but it moves enough air that the room does not feel stagnant. I used the fan mode a few times on mild days, mostly to keep air moving without running the compressor. Something people ask about is smart features and a mobile app. This unit does not rely on a mobile app the way some newer appliances do. For me, that is fine. I actually prefer that I can walk up to it, set it, and forget it. I do not want to troubleshoot wireless connections just to cool a room. If you are someone who wants to control everything from your phone while you are away, this is not really built around that lifestyle. It is more of a straightforward appliance. You set it up, you hit the buttons, and it does the job. A few limitations that showed up in daily use. The hoses get warm and they put off some heat into the room, especially if they are long or if they are in direct sun near the window. I kept mine as short and straight as possible, and that helped. The window kit, like I mentioned, may need extra sealing depending on your window style. Also, this thing takes up floor space. In a tight bedroom, you are going to notice it. You need clearance around it for airflow, and you need a path to the window for the hoses. Energy use is another real-world consideration. I am not going to throw a bunch of numbers at you, but I will say this. If you run it hard for many hours every day during peak heat, you should expect your electric bill to reflect that. That is not unique to this model. It is just the reality of moving heat out of a room. After living with it, my overall impression is that it is a practical solution when you need real cooling, and you cannot do a permanent installation. The dual hose design feels like it helps in a way you can actually notice, especially in larger rooms or on hotter days. The build feels solid, setup is manageable, and once it is in place, it is easy to use. The downsides are the space it takes, the noise that comes with any portable unit, and the little bit of effort it can take to seal the window well and manage draining during humid weather. If you are deciding between a portable unit like this and a window unit usually wins on simplicity and often noise, but it is not always an option. If portability matters, and you want something that can handle a larger room without feeling completely overwhelmed, this one has done a good job for me. If you have questions about my setup or the room conditions I tested it in, leave a comment and I will try to help. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and let me know what you are using to stay cool at home. Thank you for watching.